Okay, lab 3 is about the distributive property, and the main thing you have to remember with the distributive property, if you have something outside, multiplied outside a set of parentheses, it gets multiplied to everything inside. And the mistake that most students make is they do not apply whatever's outside to everything inside. They just apply it to the first thing. That is the most common mistake. So there are 3 examples there. And I've got these, as you can see on the lab instructions, all of the steps are written out nice and neat there. So in this video, I'm just going to quickly go through them. So let me do this in red because red is wrong. For this one, I will see so many students do this. They only apply the negative sign to the first term and don't apply it to everything inside there. And that is wrong, and it will lead you to a wrong answer. It will lead you to a wrong multiple choice selection. So we have a negative sign outside the parentheses. So the negative sign, if you want to get rid of the parentheses, gets applied to everything inside. Then we apply the negative sign to -3. And the negative of -3 is +3. And so that's what that looks like without the parentheses once we apply the distributive property. So I can erase that one now. All right, let's look at the second example. So I am going to need some space here. All right, so let's just take it as it comes. Let's look at this first expression. The 5 is outside. It must be multiplied by everything on the inside. So without the parentheses, this is going to be 5 times x squared. Then plus 5 times 2x. Then minus 5 times 7, so minus 35. So that's taken care of. Now let's go on to the next part. I have to multiply a -3 by everything inside. So I'm going to have a minus 6x squared. Then -3 times -1 is +3. And then if we look at this last expression, notice there's nothing out the front. So I can just drop the parentheses because there's nothing to multiply through. Now we are not done yet. What I have to do now is to collect any like terms. And I have an x squared term here. I have an x squared term there. And I have an x squared term there. So I'm going to gather those that I've underlined in red. And then I've got an x term here and an x term there. So I'm going to put those together. So I'm just rearranging this. And then finally, I'm just left with my numbers, my constants alone that don't have any x terms. Okay. So now I need to combine all of those. And since they're all x squared terms, well, 5 minus 6 is -1. So 5x squared minus 6x squared is going to be -1x squared. And -1x squared plus 4x squared is going to be 3. So you can think of this as 5 minus 6 plus 4 all times x squared. And that would give me 3x squared. Okay, so 5x squared minus 6x squared is -1x squared, and -1x squared plus 4x squared is 3x squared. Okay. And 10x minus 2x is 8x. And then here, 3 and 7 is 10. And -35 plus 10 is -25. so that should be my answer for example 2. And let me just look, that's the simplified form. And so just let me check that with example 2. 3x squared plus 8x minus 25. 3x squared plus 8x minus 25. Okay. And you can see it's all done out step by step, multiplying the 5 through every term, multiplying the negative 3 through every term. And then here there's nothing in front, so you can just drop the parentheses, and then combining the terms. Rearrange to collect the like terms, and we get that answer. So finally, let's, the last example is example 3. So there are all the steps, and there's my answer, going to be x squared minus 5x plus 16. So let's see how they get that. And let's have a look at this one. All right, so I've got multiple grouping symbols going on there. And when that happens, you want to work it out from the inside out. So I'm going to do that first inside these square brackets. And then inside these square brackets, I'm going to do that one first. Okay, so I'm going to have 3x, and then I'm going to distribute the negative sign through. So minus 2x and minus negative 1. Then I'm just copying that minus symbol, and I'm copying 2x squared. And then I'm going to distribute the negative 3 through. Negative 3 times x squared is minus 3x squared. Negative 3 times negative 2x is positive 6x. And negative 3 times 5 is minus 15. Okay. Now there's nothing out the front. Oh, I can combine these. 3x minus 2x is 1x, which I'm just going to write as x. Then I'm copying that subtraction symbol, and I'm going to clean up inside here. 2x squared minus 3x squared is negative 1x squared, which is just negative x squared. Then plus 6x minus 15. Okay. Now, there's nothing in front here, so, and all of these terms have been combined as much as I can, so I'm just going to drop these square brackets. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this negative sign and distribute it through. So I must apply it to every term inside there. So minus negative x squared is going to be plus x squared. Minus 6x is going to be minus 6x. And minus negative 15 is going to be plus 15. Now I want to write these in a proper order, and I want the highest powers of x first. So I'm going to get all of my x squared terms, and there's only one. Then I want to find my x terms. Okay, and so x minus 6x is minus 5x, i.e. 1x minus 6x is negative 5x. And then I'm left with my constants. 1 plus 15 is plus 16. And so that's going to be my answer. And let's just check that now with the notes. Okay, that is what we have in the notes for our answer. So that concludes this video on the distributive property.